my name is Lee Yoon.
Hello, I am Sun Mei. The topic that we are going to talk about is how COVID-19 affected the movie industry in Malaysia. The unexpected coming of COVID-19 has affected us greatly, and all the changes are so sudden and huge. Not only our behavior changed, but it also affects various types of industry and caused a major economic crisis in Malaysia. In this video, we are going to focus and talk about the effect of COVID-19 to the movie industry in Malaysia. How COVID-19 has affected the professional from the movie industry, their work, their progress, their income, and their approach to face the reality when everything is stuck. Next, we will interview a special guest, Mr. Khairul, who will be joining us in this topic and giving us a brief but professional idea on what is happening in the industry. Now, let's move to the interview.
On behalf of my group members, I would like to thank you for sparing us some of your time to have an interview with us, because everyone is busy, and thank you so much. So the first question is, can you introduce yourself, briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Mohamed Khairul Mansur, also known as Mr. K among the students, a full-time lecturer, and also the head of program of diploma in NUSCOM, and at the same time I'm also a freelance scriptwriter.
All right, thank you, Mr. K. Then first question will be, as a scriptwriter, how does the pandemic affect your work, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, so basically, just to share my experience, I'm in the midst of actually writing a documentary for RTM when this whole MCO happens, right? So I have basically done the first 5 episodes of the documentary. So because of the pandemic, then the production has to, put the whole production on hold. So if you want to say that, if it's affecting the job, so basically it's delaying the entire process. So what happened is that we have to delay, the production for 3 months plus, right? So now only I'm resuming writing for the documentary.
Okay.
So I would say that that's one of the challenges. And another thing is because since this is a documentary that revolves on traveling, where I need to go to several places in order to interview, the talents, to do research, on-ground research to get more information. So that also affects my work. Because supposedly I need to go to Kelantan and Terengganu as well. So because of the NCO, so we need to cancel the entire thing. So right now is actually since we are resuming, then only we can go back to do recce and go to interview the talents.
Okay.
So
Alright,
it delays the entire thing lah.
Yeah. Okay. And the next question would be, as a freelance scriptwriter, does the COVID-19 affect your income or your initial plans? Since the film industry, as we know, that it has stopped during the COVID-19, and even until now, the industry did not take in your script or your idea, as they are in their teams as well. So how do you overcome it in terms of they do not take in your script, and your script is just on hold, like what you say, or the script that like for example, you need to go to Terengganu and Sabah, and you have all your script. Does the script, the idea, would it be something in the future that it will be like there's a contradiction, which means that your plans or your script that you've written is no longer used?
Okay. In regards to that, definitely the scripts and the works that I'm doing right now will be used because it's already in the contract. So meaning that the TV station, they cannot simply revoke that. They cannot simply just cancel it because it's already in the contract. And what happened right now is that they just need to extend that contract. For example, like they say, they give us like 4 months for us to basically submit the final product. But because of the MCO, so they will add another 4 months. They extend it for another 4 months. So
it wouldn't be affected in that way.
Correct. That is not an issue actually. But there's another thing perhaps I would like to share with you. Supposedly, this is also the first year where my producer, they are actually interested to go for feature-length film. So that's actually a project that I'm supposed to be involved as well, to try to get the dana or the fund from Finas. Okay, so to fund for this first feature film. But what happened is right now, what I heard from my producer, Finas is no longer offering that fund. They already changed the terms and also the conditions. They also changed the regulations as well. So yeah, it put a halt, to the plan that we have initially. So that's something that a bit disappointing for us lah. So we need to see whether they will be reviewing that in 2021, because as far as I'm concerned right now, because of MCO, what happened is the government is taking some of the budget from other areas, other industry, and somehow they are taking the budget that they have allocated to film industry for other areas, because they need to help tourism sector and all that.
True.
So so because of that, the fund for film has been used for other purposes.
Okay.
So because of that, we need to review.
It has affected you in such way.
Exactly. Yeah, indirectly it affects. So unfortunately, that is actually the first. I already prepared the proposal and whatnot. It's just that we need to go for a meeting. Then definitely they will be assessing, the proposal, and then they will go through the script. Then only if the whole thing meets the requirement, then only we can actually request for the grant. But since now they say that the grant is being frozen because of the economic situation, so we can't do anything much.
Okay. The next question would be, based on what you have experienced during the COVID-19, do you have any idea or inspiration for a new show of film script that you are trying to produce during this period, such as writing a script that is related to the COVID-19 or people's health, people's human behavior, etc., to make it into a film?
Okay, I would love to, but unfortunately I do not have time for that. During COVID, what happened is that I am busy to prepare, all the materials for the upcoming classes, and you also know that because we have to review a lot of things as well, right? In terms of paperwork, in terms of some management work. So I do not have time to basically sit down and write any proposal, any story related to COVID.
But in the future, would you?
Maybe. If you are saying that perhaps this situation will inspire me or trigger me or motivates me to write, something related to this situation, perhaps in the future,
Okay. All right.
But not right now lah.
Right. Okay. Maybe in the future.
Yeah, maybe in the future.
The last question for you would be, what is next in the film industry after the crisis? Were there any bigger crises that you think or obstruction to restart the movie industry as well as related business?
For movie industry, right now from what I can observe is we have to follow the SOP strictly, right? Because we know that if we do not follow that, then most probably the government might say that, since you're not following, then we might as well just revoke the entire thing or just cancel the whole thing, because we would never know, right? What kind of problem that we might be facing in the future. Right? Like if let's say one of the crew members is affected, then definitely it will affect everyone in that particular team, right? So we don't want to go into that trouble. So that's one, meaning that if we want to continue with our production, so we have to be very careful. Of course, we need to adjust few things as well. Adjustment here involve to get ourselves adapt to the new norm, right? And then adjustment also need to be done in regards to perhaps the script, because let's say if the script requires the talents to be intimate, they need to be like close to one another. So perhaps you need to do a camera trick, or maybe you want to remove that particular scene and change it to something else. Instead of the two of them seeing each other, maybe you can change it to a phone conversation. So it really depends on the creativity of the scriptwriter and also the director. So these are the things that the industry has to adjust to. And then as you can see that even on TV station these days, they are no longer inviting guests to be on the set, right?
Yeah.
So what happened is that they just do like a Skype call, or they just call, and then we can have like a live session, right? With the person using Zoom or whatnot. So yeah, I mean, most important is for you to be able to adjust to the new norm. And I'm speaking on behalf of other industries too. So in order for you to survive, in order for you to be able to maintain and sustain your business, you really need to be innovative, and you really need to know what is actually the best for you. It is a time for us to to reflect on ourselves, to look into new way of doing things. Perhaps if we cannot rely heavily on manuals anymore, this is where we switch. We should switch to maybe digital. Maybe before this, we do not have this kind of service, or we do not have this kind of treatment. So this is a time where we search for new avenues and new methods of doing things. We need to change. We need to adapt. We never know what's going to happen in the future. Right? Maybe after this, we never know. Maybe in 2021, it will be a bigger crisis from this.
Yeah.
Right?
True. Yeah.
So if we are ready right now, then we won't be having a lot of trouble. But if we are not taking this as a lesson, and we still take things for granted, then in the future, if something like this hits us again, then we will be definitely hit really bad, and the potential for us to to get back into the right track will be very hard.
Okay. All right. That's all for today's interview. Thank you, Mr. Kim.
All right. No problem. Thank you for having me as well.
From the interview, we are able to conclude that as a freelance scriptwriter and a lecturer from INTI, there are not much of a significant changes in terms of the scripts or initials that they have written before the MCO. If the script or the initial has been accepted from the production line before the MCO, it will not be affecting the income as well, as they have regulations and they have procedures or agreement to it that it cannot be removed easily, or they will not want to pay to Mr. Cairo. But the only thing that Mr. Cairo needs to adapt would be the SOP from the government, as we know that filming a video or a film, we can't have social distancing, as in the camera you need to have 2 people. So that's the hardest part for him to adapt. Next, we will be inviting our next guest, Mr. Wong, and he will be telling us and giving us recommendations in regards to, in the future, if we are one of the person who likes to work in a film production or any kind of production line, what are the recommendations that they can have, or the advices from our mass comm lecturer, Mr. Wong, and as well as what significant changes that he can observe during the lockdown. Yeah.
Okay, my name is Wong Masrain. I'm teaching in the International College Subang Jaya, and the subject that I'm teaching currently is human communication, media theories, and media issues. On top of that as well, I am teaching currently research paper. So I've been teaching roughly about 4 years, and for INTI itself, already 4 years. Other than that, it will be somewhere between 5 to 6 years. Currently also playing music. I have been involved in various events. Technically, my portfolio is kind of like packed in between, kind of like juggled up between music and also teaching,
Okay.
If you ask me about how this COVID-19 impact most of the musicians and also people actually involved around us, during this COVID-19, one of the factors that you can observe or see that have significant changes from the industry. Okay, before I go through with the detailed part of how music itself has been tremendously changed and being impacted, I would say this is the situation where you need to know it's not just like for music entertainment, but if you look into it as a large context, if you look from various platforms or even field industry, everyone is suffering. Everyone is actually having such huge difficulties and challenges. If you look at our economy, for instance, poverty is actually going up. And you can see the spike of inflation, recession. Our banking system, even in fact, is having huge problem in collecting revenues in terms of taxes and income. So it doesn't just impact as in like from our entertainment perspective, it even impact in global perspective. So from here, my point of view, I would say this lockdown even in fact create even harsher environment, even in fact diminish whatever platform, whatever potential that music industry itself is available has to offer. For instance, if let's say the economy is worse, it's bad now, it's still fine if let's say they still can do a performance, can do out there a lot of shows and so on. But you see, out of this lockdown itself, the restriction of music itself, people are now struggling. I would say most musicians, most entertainment business, they have to survive. One of the way for them to survive, they do lots of actually crowdfunding, or even in fact like looking for sponsorship. But it's not actually having, they're having a lot of trouble, actually problem to get all this fund donated from various areas.
Would they lose their job by that? Like, would they lose their job by that? Like, because the government is not funding as film industry, it's like, the funds are being separated. So people might be biased into one company like Astro. They would like to like help Astro instead of like small film industry that is so-called not well known. So does it like affect those people who are from the small film industry?
Yeah, definitely it has significant impact. One thing that I can see, actually a lot of actually bands, companies, small production houses, even recording company, they have to sell their equipment. That's obvious. I can see a lot of people actually nowadays, if you go to the market, like online market, right? Like example, online portals which do all this selling and buying stuff. Lots of actually musicians, even studios, they're selling their products.
So they're selling their instruments, their assets in order to cover up their costs for their own production, right?
Exactly. And even some of them even in fact close the company itself. Totally close. Shut off all the production, no more doing anything. And most company, even in fact, if you look at big corporation, like even if let's say like Astro, RTM, you look at Media Prima, my friend worked in Media Prima, they now suffer huge losses because people nowadays, they are more preserved, conservative in terms of their expenses, right? So they are no longer actually going to buy and build things. Revenue from advertisement has gone down. Advertisement itself is not going to expand. People in television industry, even in fact entertainment, they are now losing more product. If you look at last year, if you look at the statistics, I don't know if I do have one, but I can tell there's a lot of significant of changes. Last year production still running, but this year production gone. Shooting itself doesn't run anymore. So these are things that slowly actually building up, and I think it's very troublesome. Seriously.
Turn out like quite badly because it impacts the economy of Malaysia. For example, if I'm a person who would like to, or I have this passion in terms of working at the film industry, so do you have any recommendations for this group of people who would like to work at the production house and also the entertainment industry?
Right. Okay. There's something interesting about passion and also financial. From an economical scale, from the market, and also the passion. Because when you look into creative world, these three involved. You need to look at the financial stage, which is the producing side, where all the producers put money, invested everything in there, and then you have to look at the demand of the market, which is that's going to give you the money. And on the third area, I would say, which is the passion. You need to know, in any industry of entertainment or creative art world, they need these three. And passion wise, we do have passion. Everyone do have certain spark of emotion, passion. Everyone will start doing it's unlimited, you know. Everyone has something to say.
Yeah.
Everyone has something to say. They're willing to push forward as long as the passion is there. Like if you look at those days during World War days, even though the world are at war, and even people are in crisis, recession, depression, and so on, the world is still composed and passion still going on. I mean, like they put themselves there out, they put their hearts out. But the problem is, if let's say the market has no demand, if let's say the producer is not putting any money, passion will be there, but there's no output, there's no demand, it's not going to be utilized. I don't think that actually things will be fruitful. People are going to make it into something that into realization, right? So maybe it will take some time to build back this thing. You know, you need to look back at how economy is, all this thing happening around us. So maybe it will take some time. So, but yet passion is still there. I think we are getting more and more engaged to, you know, we have now online content. Online content was so much interesting compared to those days. So why not? People can utilize that. And in fact, I'm also myself. I can produce my own song. I can create my own music as long as I have all the devices. It's getting easier. Only that the problem is the audience and the market itself. The producer, which is we don't have much now these days.
Right. So that's the end of the interview. Thank you, Mr. Awang.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Yeah. You're welcome.
Hello guys, I'm Mei Yin. From the interview, we are able to conclude that the changes that Mr. Cairo has mentioned, which is the film industry is lacking funds and following the SOP from the government, can be uncomfortable as the filming needs to have interaction more than social distancing. Movie industry might move into online era as they are no longer having film in the TV or cinema. Alright, we are going to interview our very last guest. He is called Tae Ling, a movie lover. He will be joining in this topic and tell us how COVID-19 affected him as he isn't able to go for a movie at cinema now.
Alright, could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Kaylin, currently 23 years old. I started my own business which is selling figures, statue and so on. And I'm a movie lover.
Okay, so as you know that cinemas are closed and there are no new movies are being released. Does this action affect you?
Yeah, more or less. But which is not a big deal. Because currently I'm subscribed my Netflix account, which currently everyone can watch movie online. So won't be a problem for me as a movie lover.
Alright, so what are the changes that you wish to see in the film industry in Malaysia after the COVID-19?
In my own opinions, more prefer to American film compared to Malaysians. So I wish one day Malaysian drama or Malaysian films could get more attention than as the American film.
Alright, thank you.
He said that it was depressing to know that the cinema is temporarily closed and aren't able to have movie nights. But there are still other things to do, such as reading books, spending time with families, instead of hanging out in the mall.
In conclusion, the epidemic will not only affect the film industry in Malaysia, but as well as is affecting all kinds of industry, all kinds of businesses in the world. But nonetheless, we are able to go through this crisis together as we stay in one line. That's the end of our vlog.
Bye bye!
Bye bye!